Welcome to On the Couch with
Shuntai Hill
and Johnell Allen-Bey. So we got a hot show tonight.
Yeah, come on, give us some love. That's all right.
Y'all listen, we got the great, and when I say great, y'all, after the show, you know that they were great. Andre Norman.
Welcome.
Andre Norman.
It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you having me.
Motivating like no other.
Yes. So why don't you tell us who is Andre Norman?
Andre Norman is a young man who grew up with disadvantages, domestic violence in the home, drama in the home, bad schools. I was illiterate to the 3rd grade, didn't really know how to fit in and find my way. And by the time I got to middle school, I had to find my own way in my mind, which took me out into the street. And that path took me down a whole nother avenue, and I ended up in prison. I can cut straight through. I got 100 years almost in prison sentences. When I got to prison, my goal was to be the toughest guy in prison. That was my goal. I wanted to be the toughest of the tough, and for the next 6 years, I participated in criminality and a lifestyle in the cold, and I got shipped around the country, charged 2 times with attempted murder and convicted. I'm in solitary confinement, and in my mind, I'm winning, because I'm the 3rd ranking gang member in the state, and I'm making moves, I'm making money, I have status. And then I had an epiphany moment that I was the king of nowhere, that I was in charge of nothing. And it was all make-believe. And I set a goal for myself to get away from that and get to a real goal and become something. And my become something was to go home and go to Harvard and be successful.
Hold on,
right.
hold on now. Home is Harvard. So that means you from Massachusetts.
Boston, Massachusetts, born and raised.
Boston, Massachusetts.
All right.
Wow.
So,
now, hold on. Now, this is big, audience, because until I ran into you, I ain't know they had no bad dudes in Massachusetts. and once you told your story, and I got to understand, I'm like, I looked at Boston in a whole different way.
No, I tell you this. We have the toughest white guys in the country.
Oh, okay.
But
now.
we don't have it. Philadelia
Right.
has the toughest
Now,
black guys in the
I
country.
knew that. I knew
Shout
Philly.
out to Philly.
Yeah, I knew Philly had some things. You know, I've been around. You know.
I mean, we handle our business, but we don't hold that title of countrywide.
Okay, but I just wanted to establish that for our audience. You know, 'cause we keep it real now. We go into it and we see it like that. But reading your story.
why Harvard?
I chose Harvard because growing up in Boston, it's the only
Yes.
school I knew the name of.
Okay.
Okay.
It was the only school I knew the name
But
of.
did you know the prestige?
No, I
Okay.
just knew. I said I wanted to be free. It was
Okay.
the first thought I wanted to be free. And I looked around at all the people around me, white, black, Spanish, Christians, Muslims. Nobody got free and stayed home. Everybody came back. So I said, free doesn't work. So I said, I want to be the next level, which is, how do I not come back here? I said, success. Successful people don't come here. So I said, they come from college, I'll go to college, and I picked Harvard.
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
Math.
Math, simple math.
Simple math.
You can't go wrong with a degree there, right?
I mean, I didn't even know it was the #1 school in the world.
Right, at the
Because
time.
I was a high school dropout.
Right.
And
Right.
nobody, my father can't read. I couldn't read that well. My brothers weren't doing that well. So my whole life and my friends were all high school dropouts.
Wow.
So how did you get to Harvard?
How do I got to Harvard? I set a plan. First, I had the best thing, the worst thing that happened. I went to all my friends and family, and they told me I couldn't do it. That was the worst of it. But the best of it is they told me I couldn't do it, which means I didn't have to take them with me. Because had any of them said,
So, hold on, audience. You see why he got the title, motivating like nobody else, okay?
Right.
Because you just put something on us right there, you know.
had I grew up a team person. Like we're in the streets, we struggling, we in the penitentiary, we shoulder to shoulder. So I went to my team. I wanted them to have the success that I wanted for myself. I
Okay.
was never a selfish person. So I said, hey y'all, we're going to Harvard. And they looked at me like, you crazy. And by them refusing the dream or the concept, it made me do it by myself.
Wow.
And that was the best part, because had I tried to take 15 grown men from the penitentiary to Harvard, it probably wouldn't have happened.
Right.
And
Okay.
everyone is not destined to go on a journey with you.
I found that out.
The hard way.
The hard.
It was actually the good way. I found out
Okay.
early that it was time to cut loose and just go do me.
Right.
Because sometimes you can wait too late
Right.
to try to eliminate some of those folks.
But and you know that's where I differ, because I said life is never too late to make a good decision. I don't care when it is. It's never too late to make a good decision. And so that's that returning thing in me that believes that, you know, if you tell a guy like me can't, that don't make no sense. And so when they told you can't, there was a fuel that was burning in you.
It was, when I was in the 9th grade, I was a trumpet player all throughout middle school and into high school. And my friends told me playing the trumpet was stupid. Black folks don't play the trumpet, you can't go nowhere, it's a waste of time. It was like either choose the trumpet or choose us. So I gave up the trumpet because I didn't want to not have friends.
Wow.
So now here I am again telling my friends that I want to go to Harvard and be successful. And they told me the same thing. All I heard was my friends from the 9th grade stealing my trumpet. And once I lost my dream, I had no purpose. And no purpose ends up in prison.
Okay. So here you are. What's conditioned is no purpose, right? And yet you got to somehow reinvent yourself here. This takes a lot of energy because you got to be comfortable with what you know, right?
It wasn't a reinvention, it
what
was
is
telling the truth.
Okay.
So I had to tell the truth of who Andre was. I was black, I was uneducated, I came from an uneducated family, I didn't read well, I was poor, I was a criminal, I'm saying I was a quitter, I'm saying I was a professional quitter, which I learned from my dad. And that was I had to find out who was Andre. Not who Andre wanted to be, but who am I? Right. And my core problem wasn't criminality, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't attitude, it was my dad taught me how to quit at an early age.
Wow.
So everything I did in my life, sports, music, athletics, education, I quit on. And when I quit on I would love to tell you my life was so horrible I didn't have a choice. I quit on every positive thing in my life, which only left me negatives.
Okay.
So I learned not to quit anymore, and then we went from there.
So you spoke about this epiphany that you had, okay, while you were incarcerated, okay. Did you ever have a vision that it would be where it is today?
But you know what? I think we're going to find more out about his vision when we come back from our break.
Okay, then.
Cliffhanger.
It's going down here. They ain't ready for that one, Andre.
On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell focuses on educational, humorous, and insightful topics based on extraordinary lives of real people. Each episode provides real talk from real people.
We all just naturally just love each other. Like,
wow.
And see, you know, we as human beings, we as people, we're visual.
Okay.
We're visual.
They said, you know what, I'm not gonna give up.
That's
I'm
right.
gonna fight. And I believe God has blessed me to do things in a really good way to set good standards.
We need to set the standard that, you know something, we can do business with black folks. They will travel, they will do meetings, they will be articulate, they will be on point.
Join Shuntai Hill, a certified counselor, and Johnell Allen-Bey, a life coach and relationship expert, weekly for On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen-Bey are the king and queen of relationships. Each week, the couple engages their audience with hot, sexy topics about relationships for the grown and sexy. The show is interactive, fun, and real.
Our next topic. I got drunk. Hold on. I got drunk the other night, and my girl grabbed my ears from behind. So she was behind him, grabbed his ears, and then he smacked her. I immediately apologized, but to be honest, I meant it, and I knew it was her. I felt horrible about hitting her, but I felt good at the same time. What's up with this?
Tune in weekly to She Say, He Say with Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen-Bey. For more information, visit shesayhesay.media.
Welcome back. Just before the break, we were talking to Andre Norman, and he was telling us a little bit about his backstory. Now he's going to share with us about how he motivates like no other, what he's doing to motivate people.
Well, what I'm doing now is I run a program called the Academy of Hope. I founded it a few years ago, and it's all about helping people learn and become their best self. Over the last 21 years I've been free. I've worked for Harvard Law School. I've worked for London Business School. I worked with the UN. I worked with the White House. I work with Genius Network. I work with YPO, EO, the top agencies in the world. I believe in being number one. And I only work with number ones. That's why I'm on your couch.
That's right. He's very intelligent. He's very intelligent. I want to tell this quick story. So when I met him, I met him in Genesee County, and we were all in a room together, and he walked in with a team. And I was under the impression that you were this warden from some place in South Carolina, and you were going to come up to my town and try to show us, these boys from Flint what to do. And so when he came up, immediately, I'm very territorial. So I'm like, okay, now, what's your story here? And when he opened up and told me where he's from and the kindred spirit that we had and his vision, it set him apart, where I knew without a doubt, okay, this is a connection. This is a person who has a vision, because what he was doing is they was calling Andre to come into the most heinous prisons in the country and get them right. Now, he wasn't coming in there beating nobody up or using guns or anything like that. He came in because of the fact that, first of all, he saw humans. And he identified leaders among men. And identifying leaders among men, I want you to talk to our audience about why that's so important.
Well, leadership leads.
Yeah.
There are 2.2 million people in prison, but probably like 200,000 of those are the leaders. So instead of focusing on the 2 million, I focused on the 200,000. Because if you turn to leadership, then the rest will follow. And my belief was, there are a lot of great, I'm not the only one, you're not the only one.
That's right.
There are thousands of people behind these walls who are suffering, not from incarceration, they're being suffering because they're not getting exposure and opportunity to be their greater selves.
Right.
So my belief is, I want to rectify the prison system. There's a lot of moms, there's a lot of sons and daughters, there's a lot of husbands and wives who are out here waiting for their loved ones to come home, and we want them to come home better. I can't be the only one. You can't be the only one. And I'm not successful unless I go back and help somebody else become successful.
Absolutely. And when they brought him to town, he usually charges 10 grand to come to your town, right? And when he speaks, right? So I'm saying to myself now, y'all done gave 10,000 to somebody outside of Flint. Where my check at? Because I ain't nobody supposed to be getting nothing but us. But when he came and they said, listen, he has a message for the people. And I've met a lot of people in my life, in the work that I do. I'm a people's person. And the hardest crowd that you're ever going to have to deal with are people who are incarcerated, because of the fact that they're well-read, and some of them are most intelligent people because all they do is spend time educating themselves. So you give a guy 30 years to prepare for something, he's ready. And so for Andre to have the talent to be able to have his hand on the pulse stood out to me, and I want you to tell your audience, why is that so important to be able to have that pulse?
The important part is you can't preach to people unless you're in church and people signed up for that. People in the penitentiary have trauma. We're not in the penitentiary because we like to be there. It wasn't all about the money, it's trauma. So I've lived through the trauma. I went to mental health counseling and I healed my trauma. And I believe trauma-informed care is the number one thing necessary.
Absolutely.
So when I come in, I don't speak to their potential. Speaking their potential is the wrong end. You have to speak to their pain, because their pain is blocking their potential. So I speak to the pain of the people in front of me. And I want them to heal their pain so their better selves can then take over. They don't need guidance in their gift. They need guidance through their pain.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about your book?
My book is titled The Ambassador of Hope, and I wrote the book because I read another book. I'm in the penitentiary studying.
Absolutely.
There's a brother who came home, and he wrote a book about his experience. Now, me being a soldier, me being a general, me being a boss, when I read this book, I was offended because I didn't like his lifestyle. What he did and what he represented wasn't me, and I'm like, yo, this ain't me. But the world is reading this as if it might be me. So I did what I always do. I made my move. I said, if I need to write another book to set the story right. So I went and got a pencil and paper and I wrote my book. And I had a 450-page manuscript when I came home from prison. And I carried it around for like 20 years because I was so busy doing work and outreach, I never got my book done. There was a guy named Tucker Max. And Joe Polish, Cameron Harold, and John Rulin introduced me to a guy named Tucker Max. He's the #1 ghostwriting company in the country. I went to Tucker, he signed me up as a client. He does all the top business books in the world. And I came to him, I said, yo, here's my 425-page manuscript. Man, it's gonna be the easiest book you wrote. He said, Dre, how many bestsellers have you written? I said, none. He said, then why are you giving me that? He said, ask me what I do. He said, I write bestsellers. He said, do you want your book to be written by a non-bestseller? You've never had a hit essay. I've had 5 bestsellers. So he took my book, threw it in the trash, we did his process, and I cried when I read my book.
Really?
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So my book, The Ambassador of Hope, is for moms, it's for dads, it's for brothers, it's for kids that say, listen, you can become great. I am one of the top requested people, not just from speaking, from different governments. I was on the phone with the Nigerian government the other day on how to fix their prison system. We can become global. I've worked in over 30 countries, and it's doable. I'm not the only one. I'm not perfect, but perfect is done.
That's
Wow.
right. Yeah, I like that. So we're going to go into a break with that because I like that. And we're going to come back with Andre Norman, and we're going to go to, for you, explaining what's your journey now, what you're doing. Because one thing I know, man, every time I see you, you got to do staff. So
Depends what part of the world I'm in. No, it's not a new staff, it's an expanded staff.
They expand, they everywhere, man. If I could just get one of them, I'd be all right.
On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell focuses on educational, humorous, and insightful topics based on extraordinary lives of real people. Each episode provides real talk from real people.
We all just naturally just love each other. Like,
Wow.
and see, we as human beings, we as people, we're visual.
Okay.
We're visual.
They said, you know what, I'm not gonna give up.
That's
I'm gonna fight. And I believe God has blessed me to do things in a really good way to set good standards.
We need to set the standard that, something, we can do business with black folks. They will travel, they will do meetings, they will be articulate, they will be on point.
Join Shuntai Hill, a certified counselor, and Johnell Allen-Bey, a life coach and relationship expert, weekly for On the Couch with Shuntai and Johnell. Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen-Bey are the king and queen of relationships. Each week, the couple engages their audience with hot, sexy topics about relationships for the grown and sexy. The show is interactive, fun, and real.
Our next topic. I got drunk. Hold on. I got drunk the other night, and my girl grabbed my ears from behind. So she was behind him, grabbed his ears, and then he smacked her. I immediately apologized, but to be honest, I meant it, and I knew it was her. I felt horrible about hitting her, but I felt good at the same time. What's up with this?
Tune in weekly to She Say, He Say with Shuntai Hill and Johnell Allen-Bey. For more information, visit shesayhesay.media.
Okay, so we're back with Andre Norman, motivating like no other. Motivating like no other. When you hear that, what'd that tell you?
It tells me that I'm on the right track.
Okay.
When you talk about being on the right tracks, sometimes people get out of their lanes and they get into other lanes. What would your advice be as far as, is it stay in your lane?
My advice is understand what you want to get done. Don't worry about a lane. What is it that you want to achieve? Then you reverse engineer it from there. So I sat in prison and said I want to go to the Harvard. Then I said, okay, I need to learn, get my GED, need to flip my case, need to go to anger management. I did all those things to put me on that track. So when people are coming home from prison, returning citizens, or people who out here got jobs, what do you want as an outcome? Start with the outcome,
Right.
and then reverse engineer it.
That is difficult for some people to do. You think?
Definitely it is, but Andre has a system that somehow he simplified it to make you believe, right, that there's nothing impossible.
I do the
that's the
impossible
key.
for a living, and for
Absolutely.
the record, I've done it multiple times.
Yeah, and that's the key, and that's what gives you that edge, motivating like no other, because the fact that it's easy to motivate somebody who wants to be motivated. That's the easiest thing in the world to do.
Right.
But to take ones who are not even interested and to do that, I want you to talk to
specialize
them
in
about
getting
that.
people ready to be motivated. They say you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped, and that's wrong.
Okay.
It's just a step before that. It's called getting them ready to want help, and that's why I come in.
Okay.
When
I
you
love
talk,
that.
you
I love
mentioned
that.
about having a few goals. You only had a few of them. So do we get off track if we have like 5 or 10 goals? Should we just narrow it down to a few, take care of that, and jump to the next thing? What would be your suggestion?
You can have 50 goals, but you're going to do one at a time.
That's right.
Bill Gates had 50 ideas. He launched one company. Then 20 years later, he launched his nonprofit. I'm saying, so people have, Elon Musk had an idea. He launched his car. Now he's going into outer space. He's going into other stuff. There's nothing wrong with having 20 ideas. It's just prioritizing how you're going to actually get it done.
Okay. I heard someone say something the other day, and it kind of stuck out with me. And he said, dominate your lane. You know, whatever that is, dominate it.
Right.
You know, and I think that's key because of the fact that whatever this in your lane here, whatever that you have to deal with, I think it's important that you dominate that. So how do you teach ones how to dominate their lane?
The first thing I do is I listen.
Okay.
You have to listen to the spirit and the soul of the person that you're working with, and then take their gifts and grow those gifts and say, okay, do what you do well. Use your superpower and subcontract the rest. I'm horrible at admin stuff, so I hire the best admin. I'm horrible at other stuff, and I hire for that. I don't try to become that. I'm not gonna go study for 3 months to learn how to do admin, because I'll still be horrible at it. I'll just be a little bit better than horrible. Well, there's somebody who's gifted in that.
Right.
So let people operate in their gifts. You operate in your gifts. It's called teamwork.
Yeah.
Not dictatorship.
And I agree with you because of the fact that, you know, working with Shuntai, she specialized as a sex therapist. And I'm not. I don't know how to do that. So I hire her and lean on her to be able to get that done. So, yeah.
You can't claim to know it all, right?
Right. I can't claim to know it all. So I love that, you know. And being a leader among men is that. It's being able to make others around you shine just as much as you shining because they're doing what they specialize in. Right. And so I love that. And that's a lesson that I learned from you know. So I'm always learning. And when I learned that lesson, I was able to say, okay, how do we take that to the next level? What do we do to take this to the next level, Andre?
What we have to do to the next level or to get to the next level is collaborate. I work with a lot of agencies. Genius Network is the #1 mastermind group in the world. And it's 450 of the brightest people in marketing and advertising. And they come together and they share the information. I was just on a Zoom call the other day where there's a guy, they're all at the table sharing the information, whereas us as black folks have this me mentality. As if I tell you how to get a speaker's job, somehow I'm gonna lose one.
Right.
There are millions of speakers opportunities. So
Right.
me showing you how to get 100 is not gonna affect me.
Right.
But the common thought is, I'm gonna hold it all. I'm not gonna give you this concept because you might beat me out. But we win together when we work together.
Absolutely, and I love that. And that's what attracted me to him, you know, because the fact that, you know, I believe that, you know, if you're gonna shine, you gotta bring people around you, you know, and one thing about our show is that we take ordinary people who are living extraordinary lives and we give them a brand. We give them a platform to be able to express themselves and be able to allow the world to be able to see us more plainly. And so, Andre, I thank you and I'm humbled that you came out to Atlanta, you know, to support our show today. That was remarkable.
Yeah.
I told him I can't give you $10,000. You know.
I got a simple policy. If you call my phone, I'll answer.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you call me, I'll answer. If you ask me, I'll say, my mother taught me this. Let your yes be a yes, let your no be a no.
Absolutely.
So if I say yes, I'm there. And for anybody who's returning from penitentiary, who's coming out of a bad relationship, or just stuck in an awful job, be you. But you have to find out who you are first. See, I couldn't improve me until I accepted who I was. I improved upon the illiterate. I improved upon the criminal. I improved upon the quitter. I didn't improve upon the thing that I made up. That's that Instagram life.
Wow.
Remarkable.
So how could our audience find out more about you, Andre Norman?
If you want to, they can definitely call you. That's easy. And the second thing is you can go to Google, YouTube, Amazon, just put my name in, Andre Norman. My Instagram is Andre Norman. My Facebook is Andre Norman. My website is Andre Norman. Somebody taught me a long time ago, keep it simple.
Keep it simple.
My thing is simple, and don't tell yourself, well, since he's worked at the White House, he's at Harvard, he won't help me, I'm too small. I don't care if it's a $70 billion agencies, which I work for, or you're just a mom with 2 kids. My job on this planet is to help people, not predicated on money. I've never not taken a job based on money.
Right.
I've never not helped somebody not based on money. If you call me and I can help you, I will. Don't talk yourself out of help because, they're not going to help me because they're on TV. Or he's not going to help me because he charged 10 racks. So
I appreciate that.
Don't talk yourself out of help. Talk yourself into help. And help is waiting for you.
Now, I want you to know, audience here, if you put your name and a contact, Andre will send you that book.
Yes.
So I just want y'all to know he's sending out books for you. Great read. I read it. The next day that you gave to, I went to the hospital and read it. And 2 days later, I got up and walked out. And so I'm just telling you, motivating like no other. Motivating like no other, Andre Norman. Thank you, bro.
Thank you for joining us.
I appreciate you.
Until next time, peace
and love.
Hold on.